Hey everyone, just kind of wanted to run you through a couple of modifications that we have performed over the last, I guess, month or so. If you've seen the first walk around video on this Jeep, that was kind of the stage one build, lift kit, wheels, tires, and that was about it, to be honest. Over the course of several months, I've really come to just fall in love with this Jeep. The thing is just 100% everything I expected it to be. It wheeled really nicely. Of course, it was winter time, and you can see the mountains back there. It's still winter time, but it's end of May, and we're getting ready to head to Moab tomorrow. So, as usually the case for us here at Diesel Pros, man, we tend to say, oh, what the heck, it's a good reason to do some modifications, and we kind of went crazy on this thing. Start off, the lift is the same height. It's still a 4.5 inch TerraFlex unit. We've got the Falcon 3.3 adjustable shocks. We've got the TerraFlex speed bumps, and the suspension is working pretty good. I've had a lot of questions on the suspension. How does it ride? How does it run down the road? Overall, I got to give the suspension system, as far as on-road ride quality, probably a 7 out of 10. It's really good, but there's room for improvement. Like I said in a former comment on my first video, I think what's going on is they valve it for heavier Jeeps because they figure folks are going to go put spare tires on the back and winches on the front, some armor. As you can see, I haven't done a whole lot of that. I've got the factory steel bumper with a worn winch, and I've got the spare tire back here finally. Lots of comments on that, but I just really took some time to pick which one I wanted, and I'm pretty happy with my decision. I'll get to that in just a minute. But first thing you'll notice here, as far as this going crazy, is hubs. This thing's got a set of Warm Premium hubs on the front of it, and those hubs are attached to Dana Spicer's aftermarket division axles, and it's called the Ultimate Dana 60. Some of you may or may not have heard of that, and that was a big and very expensive modification to this Jeep. I've always put a lot of trust into the factory Dana 44s, and for good reason. I wheeled the shit out of my JK with 37s and RCV axle shafts, and the factory 44s with a set of Yukon 513s. For 6 years I did, and I beat it pretty hard. Never once worried about breaking those, but it's just something about 40-inch tires that got to instill a little confidence, and that's how you do it. So you put Dana 60s under it. At some point we could make the axle shafts as strong as we want to make them, but we still have weaker ring and pinions. The pinion gear on those Dana 44s, once you start getting up to 488 513s, is just super tiny. So had to do something about it. So we decided to go ahead and splurge, make the expense, and install these Dana 60s front and rear. Here's the rear. We're using some of the TerraFlex components. The track bar bracket, you can see, is on there. It's set up for a 4.5 inch lift. If we brought it up to that top hole, we'd have a little nicer angle, but the axle would be off centered. So that's where we left it. For those with keen eyes, will see that we also don't have the factory locations for the rear shock mounts. I wanted some more travel out of this Jeep, and TerraFlex uses the same shock for the 2.5 and the 4.5 inch lift, and that left you shy of down travel. The reason they do that is because there are some gas tank clearances. This thing is probably about as drooped out as it can go while still using coil springs in a factory fuel tank, because that coil spring over there, when it's full droop with a short arm, hits that fuel tank. Doing the axle shafts, we actually went ahead and did the Dana CV drive shafts as well. That gets us more clearance on the front and the rear, just because they're a physically smaller shaft in diameter. Just as strong 1350 shafts. These things are going to be bomber. So I've got a good amount of up travel, and I've got a whole bunch more down travel, and that makes for a better situation when you're out rock crawling. Still running the 40 by 1350 STT Pro Coopers. These have been working really well. Again, I'm a little peeved at the lack of bead protection. You put a set of Toyos or a Toyo built Nitto on here, you're going to see that bead protector come out past here, and really it's not going to stop you from getting rock rash for the most part, but you got to stick a stick in here, which, you know, if we wheel in the forest, that's a very real possibility. I've done it, I've seen it. Not my favorite thing, and these are not bead locks, so that stick in between the bead and the tire will in fact cause you to lose air. So haven't changed that. You'll see if you watch the first video, we did change the wheels. These are a RG2, I believe. It's a Robbie Gordon designed wheel by XD, and it's very fashionable, wouldn't you say? It looks good. It looks like an off-road wheel should. I was hesitant to do a more polished or machined look with this paint scheme, and time will tell. It'll either grow on me or it won't. And if you feel like leaving a comment, leave it below. Let me know if you love it or hate it. Front differential. I'm going to save the install on this for another video, just because I don't want to make this a 10-minute video, but I'm going to leave this by saying that you got to use a lot of JK stuff on this JL when it comes to these Ultimate Dana 60s. So if you're going to do this, be prepared for that expense as well. So the axles were a big upgrade. Kept the shocks, kept the tires, changed the wheels because it went to an 8-lug bolt pattern. And the next thing is we went ahead and called Genrite and got their spare tire carrier. Lots of spare tire carriers on the market as it sits right now, none of which I feel are really strong enough for a 40-inch tire. This assembly probably weighs 130 pounds, I'm guessing. And that's a lot of weight back there banging away when you're, especially on dirt roads, right? You're in these washboarded roads, these just real bumpy, and it's just that constant oscillation of movement that gets these tailgates jacked up. So I wanted to go to this, and I really like the design. I always have. It's definitely more quote-unquote rock crawler, but the thing is freaking stout. Ton of work to get installed. Okay, I'm guessing, you know, with a couple of guys that have done this before, it's probably still going to be between a 3 and a 4 hour install at minimum. And if you're going to take your time and do it right, that's just what it's going to take. It's just a hell of an install, man. You got to take the whole plastic assembly apart, subwoofer, all that stuff to gain access to the inside. So other than that, you can see we still got the factory fenders. We had to do some trimming on the inner plastic. The outer plastic of the fenders is still fine. Flexed out, bumped out, full on, ready to go, man. These tires clear well. So it's a big Jeep. It's tall, but it's also very long and very wide. Oh, I forgot to tell you, 538 gear ratio we went with on this one. And for a guy like me that loves gears, it was super refreshing for me to come from a 410 and 40s to a 538. In my opinion, anything 37 and over on a 410 equipped vehicle needs to be geared. And again, I could probably save that for another video, but the facts in my world as a technician, I know what it's doing to your transmission, to your transfer case. You're just under more load than is necessary, and that's a constant thing. And it's totally unnecessary. You bought a $50,000 Jeep, you got lots of money in wheels and tires, suspension, just gear it. I don't care what Light Bright or any of these other YouTubers say. once you put a set of gears under it, you're going to be totally in love with your Jeep again, okay? Oh yeah, 7th and 8th gear work great now. So anyway, that's walk around number 2. Hope you like the Jeep. If you don't, well, that's your deal. I will get lots and lots of videos and pictures, I'm sure, down in Moab, and I will do some honest opinion videos of the suspension especially and the tires after that trip is done. Enjoy. Happy Jeeping.